Well, hey, if you are overcoming some obstacles in your life and you're wondering if the struggle really does, in fact, make you stronger, then go ahead and stay with my video because that's exactly what we are talking about today for Transform Your Mind Tuesday. It's coming your way right now. Well, hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you've been here for a bit, if you are new, I am super pumped that you are here today. My name is Lauren and my channel is all about making beauty easy for the girl who thinks that she can't, both internally and externally. My hope today is that you will consider subscribing and hit that notification bell over here, so that you can get alerts every single time I upload new videos, which is every single Friday, every third Thursday, and every fourth Tuesday of the month. And with that said, it is the fourth Tuesday of the month, which means it is Transform Your Mind Tuesday. The series, topic, whatever you want to call it, that we do once a month on my channel that's based upon Romans 12:2. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So no longer being conformed by the patterns of this world. And so today I really just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about overcoming obstacles and whether or not the struggle makes you stronger. I think it's pretty common for all of us to wonder that, especially when we're going through seasons of life where you just kind of feel like everything's falling down around you and you're having trouble keeping yourself together, and it's like one struggle after another struggle after another struggle, and you might get a little bit of sunlight peeking through the clouds, but then it's like the clouds just overtake the sunlight and now you've got another freaking storm in your way. And I don't know if you relate to that, but I definitely do. I've been struggling with some things as we've been kind of talking about over the last few months on this topic. And so in the midst of struggle that I'm going through, I'm really just trying to encourage you and encourage myself, if I can be truly honest, and just remind you of things that God says about you, the promises that are in His Word, and just the fact that, you know, sometimes our biggest obstacles in life and our biggest struggles end up being part of a bigger story that He has to tell for us. And I'm sorry if this is moving. The sunlight is really bad here and I'm trying to do natural lighting, so I'm holding my actual tripod thing, and so when I talk with my hands, it kind of moves, so I'm gonna try my best to keep it still, so hopefully I do a good job. But anyway, one of the things that really hit my heart over the last couple of weeks that I was reading in a devotional, and it was a devotional all on going through trials, and just kind of like, you know, the scriptures that talk about consider it all joy when we go through trial. You know, I've read them 1,000 times and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's sometimes how I feel. And I'm honest with God. Like, yeah, God, I know I'm supposed to have joy right now, but I don't. Like, I just don't have joy. But anyway, there was one of these devotionals that really stuck out to me. And it was talking about the fact of, you know, how committed am I to the process? Am I willing to stay on course? Am I willing to stay on track? Am I willing to keep the commitment or the covenant even that I feel like I was led to make, right? And so, or led to make, that sounds right. So I was reading that, and there was a blip in there that said, you know, a lot of times when we're going through struggle, we actually, we think that something has changed with God, and it hasn't at all. It really comes down to the fact of how we're responding to what's happening to us, and we therefore distance ourselves from God because we're hurting. And so the question that it asked is, you know, how committed are you to God? Are you only committed whenever you hear your favorite worship song and you're just in it, man? You're praising, you're worshiping, and you're in it to win it right at that moment because that worship song just fills up your soul. But then when, you know, the reality of your situation hits, where are you at then? Are you committed, or are you questioning God? Are you questioning His plans for your life? And I got really convicted of that. And the reason I did is because, I'm being honest, it's something that I struggle with. I feel like I can be what's called, or what I like to call, an emotional Christian. So I'm like, don't lie that I'm emotional. I think everybody here knows that, and it's fine. I hope you're emotional too. Like, I can cry. I'm surprised I've not cried more on YouTube already. But like, if life isn't going that great for me, or is my hair looking crazy? I don't know. Okay. But if life isn't going that great for me, I just feel like I am an emotional wreck and an emotional mess. And it's easy for me to get really caught up in that. And so when those things happen, and I have like I'm going through a rough season, and I just don't see, you know, I'm kind of in the middle of the woods and I can't see the clearing, I just really start to question everything. Like, God, do you even see me? Do you really see how bad things are? are you going to step in and rescue me? Or is this going to be one of these things that, I'm just going to wonder whether or not you were there? And the truth of the matter is, like, while I'm in those moments, I wonder those things. I admit it, I raised my hand to that. But always, 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 I've been able to look back in the rear view. Here, I point to my car rear view and see that God was with me whenever I get to the other side of that. And I've walked through some other things in my life that is very evident that God was with me the entire time. And I knew he was then, and those situations were definitely harder than what I'm experiencing now. But I was very committed to God because I had heard him. I had heard his voice, and he actually told me to do something, to stay with something. And I honored that commitment because I was so certain and sure that I heard from him. And so it was easy, if you will, easier to honor that commitment because I was 100% certain that God was leading me. So I wrote down a couple of things today that I wanted to share with you for Transform Your Mind Tuesday, as we're talking about, overcoming obstacles and how we can really get to the place where we do believe that, the struggle makes us stronger. And how we can get to a place of victory, even when the circumstances still aren't showing us victory, but we can at least be victorious through the situation. So one of the things that I wrote down is commitment is a decision. And it's kind of like, I've said this a lot over my life when talking to people about relationships, but love is also a decision. You decide, if you're married, you decide every day to love that person that you made a commitment to, that you walked down the aisle to, committed your life to, and stood before God and all your friends and family to. Like, you make that decision every single day when they do things to hurt you, when you do things to hurt them, when you're acting like a jerk, when they're acting like a jerk. When you're just not seeing eye to eye on situations in your life, you're still making a commitment every single day to love that person. It's a choice and it's a decision, and you have to follow through even on that commitment and in that decision, even in the darkest of times when it's painful. And when you want to do everything but keep that commitment, you have to stick that commitment out. And so, with that said, if a commitment is a decision, then we have to realize that, our feelings and emotions are really just based on our circumstances. And so, it's not okay to always run on your emotions. And this is where I have to really find balance in my own life, because it's so easy for me, to see the emotion of everything and to just, want to run on that high or that low. And, if it's a low, man, I can get in the trench and stay there. And if it's a high, I definitely want to stay there. And so what I found over the years is that before I make any big decision in my life, especially if it's one that I've already made a commitment to, and I'm thinking about like abandoning my commitment, I really have to stop and think and determine, okay, Lauren, you're wanting to change course, but are you wanting to change course because your emotions have changed? Like, where are you at right now? Are you on a high or are you on a low? If you're on a low right now and you're wanting to abandon a commitment, then we need to consider the fact that that might be your feelings running what you're thinking right now, and not really, you're not coming from a place of logic. Same thing with the highs and the highs in life. Like, you might want to just make a decision that would, be a higher risk because you're in a high place right now, and that may not be the wisest thing for you. And so you have to kind of think about, where that decision-making process is coming from. Like, is it coming from those emotions because you're emotionally high? So those are two things that I just want you to remember. Some of the other things that I wrote down is that we must trust the process even when the results aren't something we can see today. And that's really hard for me. And I was just chatting with our paid coaching group on Facebook. We have a private group for anyone that, is in our coaching program. And this was something I shared for Wisdom Wednesday this past week. I got all these little tidbits, acronyms: Wisdom Wednesday, Transform Your Mind Tuesday, Transform Your Body Thursday. That's what I do to try to keep track of everything. But I was actually sharing a similar message with them. It wasn't quite as faith-based, somewhat, but not quite as faith-based. And I was mentioning that, in our fitness journey, like, they have this faith that, Lance and I know what we're doing to help get them to a certain place in their life, fitness wise, like where they're wanting to be. And they trust us. But when they don't see those results come as fast as they want, it's easy to start wavering. And it's easy to want to, give up on that commitment or walk away from that commitment because you don't see those results today. And I bet you, even though you may not be in my coaching program, you can probably raise your hand to that and go, oh no, Lauren, I've totally done that too with fitness. Like, I worked out for 3 or 4 weeks and, I was doing all these things and the scale didn't move. In fact, the scale went up. And so then I just gave up. And the thing is that, we tell our clients all the time, like, you have to stay committed to the process because you didn't gain your weight overnight, and you're certainly not going to lose it overnight. It doesn't work that way. I wish it did. I really wish it did. And I wish even your seasons of hardship were easier and they ended faster, And I think I said this in a previous video, but one of my pastors sorry guys, this is kind of wobbling. I'm trying to straighten it. One of my pastors said, he used to always say this. He would say, whatever you're doing in life, he said, it's going to take longer than you want, but it's not going to take as long as you fear. And when Greg used to say that, it just kind of used to warm my heart, because I'm like, oh, he's right. I know that it's going to take longer than I want. In fact, I was probably already there in that place where I'm like, it is already taking longer than I want, but it won't take as long as I fear. And so I think it's really important that we remember that, and we know that just because we don't see the results today doesn't mean that results aren't going to start showing up tomorrow. Or, you know, maybe you're needing a breakthrough with your career. It doesn't mean that breakthrough isn't going to come through tomorrow. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get promoted tomorrow or 2 months from now. You just may not see it today, but don't abandon that commitment because you're not seeing the exact result that you're wanting to see today. Let's see. So I wrote down as well, the commitment can't waver, but your emotions will. And your emotions can. So it's okay that your emotions waver. But again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying a few minutes ago. You have to be at a place where you recognize that that's what's happening. Because if you're constantly living out your emotions, I think I do this motion a lot in my videos, I'm sorry. But if you're constantly living that way, then you are always going to make bad decisions. And maybe bad decisions is really extreme. You're constantly going to make decisions that aren't the wisest for you. And I think one of the ways to think about it is this way. There's lots of paths that we take in life, and there's so many different ways that we can make decisions. And how Lance and I have learned to balance things in our life is we always ask a question whenever we're faced with a big decision or a small decision. And the question is this: in light of my past circumstances, my present, and my future hopes, what is the wise decision? What is the wisest decision to make in this scenario? And I think it's a really important question you can ask yourself at any given time in your life, no matter what you're dealing with or what decisions you have to make. And the other piece of that is this, is that don't give up what's best for you for something that is good for you, or even something that's great for you. If it's not best for you, don't do it. And sometimes what's best for you, and again, preaching to the choir, is to stay in the struggle. Because the struggle, there's an old saying too, without struggle, no progress. Like without that struggle, we cannot get to where we're trying to go. And God may want you to be here before he gives you that dream, that blessing, or whatever it is that he's laid upon your life. He may need you to get to here, but you're here right now. And there's this in between, that gap place, that he's got to build your faith. And I'm gonna be honest, we see it all through the Bible, but sometimes that faith building part really sucks. It sucks. Read the book of Job, and let's talk about, I was just chatting with a friend before I started to record this video, but let's talk about Abraham and Isaac. How scary it must have been for Abraham, who God gave him a promise and said, guess what? On your descendants will, be as many as the stars, be as numerous as the stars. And then it took forever for Sarah to finally get pregnant. So I think they waited like 25 years, something like that. It might even been more, for Sarah to finally get pregnant. And Abraham was like 100 years old whenever he had Isaac. And then several years later, God is like, hey, guess what I want you to do today? You're going to take him up to the altar. You're going to lay him down and you're going to sacrifice him. I'd have been like, what? This is who you promised that would, this kid right here that you gave me. First of all, by the way, you took forever to give me this kid, Lord. I know I heard you, but you took forever to deliver it. Now you're asking me to sacrifice this kid? You're asking me to literally lay him down and give him over to you in death. But Abraham didn't do that. Abraham, it says in Hebrews actually, that Abraham was convinced that if he was going to lose Isaac, that God would raise him from the dead. Amazing, because I don't know if I would have had that faith. In fact, I probably would have argued with God a whole lot. And my girlfriend, as we were talking about this, she's like, well, let's think about Isaac. Isaac trusted his dad more than anything. He trusted his dad to get up on that altar. He trusted that, his dad saw his best interest at heart, even when Isaac didn't understand what was going on. And that was revelational for me. So thank you, Robin, because I hadn't really thought about that. Like, yeah, Isaac did. He trusted his dad. And that would have been a scary situation. So, the last thing that I wrote down was really a quote, and I think I'll end it with this. And this is kind of the kicker here. And I'm getting my wadded up piece of paper and trying to read it right here. So let me just set it right there. Commitment means staying loyal. Loyal, keyword here. What you said you were going to do long after the mood you said it in has left you. So stay the course. Don't waver. And if God has told you to stay in something, if God has given you a dream and a vision, or you're confident that the Holy Spirit has led you somewhere, even if that road is so hard and it isn't turning out the way that you thought it would, but you know when you lay down your head at night or you pray, you've got peace that God led you to where you're at, then let me tell you something, girl, don't you dare abandon it. Don't abandon it. Because the thing is that God is going to get you to where he wants you to go. And what you're experiencing right now is not the end of you. It's not going to be the end of your story. It's going to be this huge part and testimony of your story that's going to help change the lives of others. So I hope this video has helped you out so much today. I hope that you're encouraged. I hope that you remember that you are so deeply loved, that the Bible says that you are more than a conqueror, that, God is for you. He's not against you, that he is your refuge. He is your strength. And I'm telling you, where I spend a lot of my time when I'm really discouraged is in the book of Psalms, not Proverbs, but Psalms. So if you're stuck right now in life, just get into the Psalms, man, and just worship God with everything you have out of the book of Psalms. Because David just cried out to God so much about so much in his life. So I hope this has helped you out. And I would really love to know what your biggest takeaway was from this video. If there's anything that I can pray for you, let me know down in the comments. I'm always happy to do that. It warms my soul when you guys reach out and you're like, oh, I need prayer on this. And if YouTube is too public of a place, then go ahead and direct message me on Facebook or direct message me on Instagram. I think my email is somewhere here on YouTube, so you can email me. I'm always happy to pray for you. And I think that's going to be a wrap. So if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to my channel, go ahead and do that now so that you don't miss out on any future videos. And of course, connect with me on social media is one of my favorite places to connect with you. And I will see you in my next video. And I can't do my normal hashtag thing, so we're just going to pretend. Hashtag Reformed Tomboy Family. I'll see y'all soon.